Welcome, everyone, and welcome, Maria.
Hi, Anna. Thanks for having me. I love that introduction with the music and the numbers. It's very
Yeah,
nice.
so we can kind of, calm down a little bit and connect with spirit.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I see everyone up there. This is so nice to be able to join from this technology. So I see everyone. Beautiful faces. Hi. So happy to be here.
And we are so happy you are here. It's a lot of happiness, and your book is about happiness. You are the trailblazer of happiness.
And I love the way you put that on the in the webpage.
Yeah.
When you put the description, I put on the top, I was like, oh, she's so sweet. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Yeah, it's funny because the one that started that whole thing of that I'm a happiness teacher is D. Patrick Miller, which if you're not familiar, he's the one that published Gary Renard's book, The Disappearance of the
Oh,
Universe. He was the original one. And he's the one that actually helped me publish Live Your Happy. And when he first discovered me online, he would say, you need to write a book because you are happiness this, happiness that. The course needs something light and a light approach. And that's how it started. So now I run with it now. And for me, it's great because I really feel that the course is teaching us to come back to that happiness, to that joy. So for me, I'm in, I'm in, I'm in.
I'm into. I'm in. So, so,
Yeah.
so tell us, how did the course come into your life?
Well, many of you, I'm sure, maybe are familiar with Marianne Williamson's book, A Return to Love. And I found this book in the 90s, actually around 1990, so a very long time ago. I was in a very pivotal time in my life. I was coming into my teenage years to my 20s, and I was having some sort of rebound and depression in becoming an adult. And it was very difficult for me. Now I have to be big and I have to take care of myself. And it was like a lot of different things going on. My family was very protective and did a lot of things for me. So I felt like I had to grow up and was going through a lot of emotions. And I found her book at the bookstore. And if, like, Anna, in the book, she talks about Course in Miracles a lot. She refers to it as the blue book. And she talks about it on and on. And I got curious, but I wouldn't do anything about it till 5 years later that I was at a Unity church, which Unity churches are all around the world, more in America, more in the US. And these churches, Unity churches, are non-denominational and they support the Course in Miracles groups. So a lot of churches in America actually have a Course in Miracles groups going on Sundays and different times of the week. So I ended up going to a Unity church and they were doing a workshop on the Course in Miracles. This was 5 years later again. And when I heard A Course in Miracles, I said, oh, that's that book that the Jewish lady, Marianne Williamson, was talking about in Return to Love. So I put the two and two together and I said, you know what, I'm going to go check it out and see. And there was this guy, his name is Gil, heavy set guy. He was writing on a board and he said, basically the Course in Miracles principles. And I was sitting down and he said, well, the Course in Miracles basically, the world is an illusion. It's talking about that we're one, the separation has not occurred, we're dreaming. And then he went on to say, and forgiveness is one of the biggest teachings of the Course. And what it teaches is that all that you should remember is the love that you gave and you received. All else is an illusion. And he said, nothing can really ever happen to you, and then you're never the victim of the world that you see. And Anna, I fell off my chair. I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean that this is an illusion? What do you mean that? I mean, it was just all my thoughts. I felt confused, but at the same time, within that confusion, I felt at home, which is where I felt also at the Unity churches, because the Unity churches are inclusive, like they include everyone. There's no crosses. I'm getting goosebumps. There's no crosses on the wall because they don't want to just focus on the crucifixion of Jesus. So the church per se, Unity, is like that. And then I was in a Course in Miracles group, and I felt at home. I was like, even though I don't understand nothing about this, it feels like my path. And that was in 2005. Then I would go on to go to a Course in Miracles group there every day. Not every day. It's like, I think it was every Tuesday, which I loved. And then I would begin to studying it on my own, and having a lot of difficulties practicing it, and most importantly, living it. This is why, as a teacher now, Anna, I'm very adamant about the practice, and also helping people where I struggled, which is the complete application without reservation or any more exceptions, which was my issue. So I would go on to study the course by myself, and then around 2012, I would say maybe between 2009 and 2012 is when I would become and get this download to be a teacher of God. And that's when it all began for me.
Wow, we are also all into the practical implications to actually live A Course in Miracles. So tell us more about happiness and the course and the practical application.
Well, first things first is I want to let everyone know, and I'm sure you all know this, I'm just reiterating it, is that God's will for us is to be happy, and it's said in the lessons. There's no coincidence that in lesson 101, it says God's will for me is perfect happiness. And then it says, lesson 102 says, I share God's will for happiness for me. Then it says, lesson 103, God being love is also happiness, right? So, and then it says 104 says, I seek but what belongs to me in truth, which is that inheritance, which is that happiness. So what is that trying to tell us, Anna, is God's will for us is happiness. And these are just a few lessons, but there's so much to be said about joy and happiness in the book. And I really wholeheartedly believe that that is really our true nature, like love is. And it's something that's always there. We just forget because we believe in the separation. We believe in the illusion. And we're always in that light, that happiness is that light that we're always there, and it's secure and we're so taken care of. And it's that light that we have and that connects us to God, in the sense of when we remember that happiness, when we come back to our true nature, we're just reliving and experiencing that we're still in the mind of God. So I feel for me, happiness is the closest way that we can experience being in the mind of God in the world of form, right? So we use that joy, that happiness as a memory of, okay, we've never left the mind of God. This is not real. This whole illusion is not real. God, I'm still in the mind of God. So in regards to happiness in the sense of the Course in Miracles and how to practice it, for me, I didn't understand why, Anna, and maybe some of you can relate to studying the course and not being very happy, right? Not being, still struggling, probably not understanding, and not feeling that joy and happiness that the course is talking about. Okay, can any of you relate to that? Okay, good. Me too. So that's the beginning part. What I realized is, through my journey of the course, I did see my inconsistency of intellectually knowing things, feeling really good when I was in a group, but then not wholeheartedly applying it in the world, because it was like a blind spot. It's like when you can't see the car in the mirror while you're driving, it's like something it's so unconscious. You have this willingness, you want to wholeheartedly be happy, but unconsciously there's something there that you are not fully living it, and that you are making exceptions and compromises. What does that mean? It means the course is saying I am love, and you're saying I am love, but then you go into your life and you're looking for love outside of yourself, right? Or I am abundance and I am perfect child of God, but I'm worried about money. And I believe that abundance is money, instead of remembering that abundance is I am as God created me. So this inconsistency, Anna, of reading it, doing the lessons, kumbaya all day long, doesn't get us anywhere. It's fine, but we need to begin to be very focused and with a lot of intention to apply it. But most importantly, one of the biggest things is you want to begin to forgive even if you don't want to. You know, there needs to be that wholehearted commitment to want to forgive, even though it's hard, even though you don't want to, even though you want to be right. You want to say to yourself, I'm done with the procrastination. I'm done with the littleness. I'm done with this excruciating pain of holding on to being right or believing that the problem is outside of me. I'm done with this victimization, and I want to wholeheartedly begin to forgive in all areas of my life, even though it's hard, even though I don't want to. And I have to say that this takes something, Anna, and sometimes it isn't pretty and it doesn't feel good. And at least that's my experience. Okay. That's why I've learned to be comfortable with my feelings of inadequacy, my feelings of sadness, my feelings of depression, whatever feelings I may be having. I've learned to give myself grace and not to judge it. And there's nothing wrong here. Okay, there's nothing wrong. I mean, we're in a world of bodies, Anna. Some days we're going to wake up really good. Some days we're going to wake up not so good. It depends on the mind. It depends on the stars aligning and the this and the that and the Mercury and the moon and the all these things. What you eat, right? There's all this stuff that's going on that we're going to be fluctuating in our energetic field and how we're feeling. So what we need to do is, for me, how I come back to the happiness is, first of all, to have acceptance, right? To have that grace with myself, and that there's nothing wrong here. You know, the course is teaching us, I don't know what anything means. Everything is the meaning I give it. So you want to start to be more of a mind of a little child and more of, you don't know, we don't know. Maybe the way you're feeling is exactly perfect for where you are actually taking yourself, of where you want to be. So that feeling of inadequacy, that insecurity might be actually a stepping stone of something that you need and want. So the judgment goes away. So you want to begin to stop judging yourself and others and begin to see life in a more neutral context. Happiness is something that is innate in us, and it's something that is very natural, actually, like love. Just like, but the thing is that the world has taught us, Anna, that fear is normal and that happiness isn't. If you tell someone, can you be fearful 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, somebody will probably say, yes, that's normal. If you say, hey, can you be happy 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, is not normal, right? So what's happening here? What's happening here is that there's lies going on. This is the lie that we tell ourselves. Happiness can be very normal. And it doesn't mean that you're at a 10 every day, but that inner contentment can be there more and more and more often than not. Okay. So I always say we're under the happiness umbrella, which is in the mind of God. In that happiness, that is our inheritance. That's what connects us to God. That's our true nature. And what happens is we leave the umbrella, which is always there, and we start to believe our thoughts. We start to believe our littleness. We start to have grievances. We judge. We believe we're victims. Now we're not out of the happiness. Now we're not in the happiness. We feel we're not in the happiness umbrella. But the thing is, it's just a moment of confusion. It's just the illusion. But what's good news is, Anna, is that happiness hasn't gone away. That happiness is there. It's waiting for our return, but not even really, because there's nothing it's waiting for, because it's here. So in the moment that you begin to come back to your right mind through less judgment, you begin to come back into the happiness umbrella again. And the reason I say why can't we collectively, and for all of you that are watching today and the ones that are going to see this later, for me, the movement is to begin to have a new conversation of that happiness is normal, peace is normal, flow is normal, joy is normal. I want to begin to change this narrative of fear is normal, it being obstacles are normal. How about the opposite day? How about the opposite day? And we begin to do this collectively in this world of illusion together, little by little, waking up our minds to the joke, right? To the joke of the ego, to the joke of the separation, of the illusion. We begin to little by little, collectively, we're all light. You're light, I'm light. We're all collective lights. We're all connected to God. So how about if the lights start to have their super magnetic superpowers, are like, you know what? We're all going to remember our happiness together and know that this BS, this bullshit, that fear is normal, that separation's normal. We want to begin to have a new narrative, a new story, a new belief, a new belief. And guess what, Anna? We're all worthy of it. We're all worthy of this remembering again of that joy. It's funny because I feel, and I've heard this with people that have near-death experiences, of that they see themselves in the light. They see themselves in the oneness. They see that this world is an illusion. And that's incredible because these people have actually have had experiences of what the Course in Miracles is teaching. That's why I always recommend people to watch near-death experiences, because a lot of them have experienced what the Course is teaching. I just saw one recently. His name is Andy Petrol, and I'm actually just spoke to him the other day, and he was saying that joy, he was talking to the light, and that the light was going through his lifetimes and telling Andy, look how you made this so real. Look at that. Look how silly that is. You believed that story. You believed this fear, and look at that. You made this matter too much. That's what the light was telling Andy. And it's funny because the light is, he says, it's funny. The light is humorous. There's joy in the light. But doesn't make things matter. It's like, oh my gosh, Andy, look at that. And it's a laugh, right? So for me, when I saw that NDE, it reflected for me in my life and me being a teacher of the Course for all these years, and how I teach. I teach with that joy. I teach with that humor. And now I understand why. It's because the light is that joy. And it's actually saying, and it told Andy this, and I've heard this myself, the light is saying, we're in the world to experience joy. We're in this world to experience joy, to experience happiness, right? The Course would say this world is dual. This is a dual world, and the Course is teaching it's non-dual, right? There's no duality, but we do experience duality in form, in the body, right? You're there, Anna, I'm here. We appear separate, the duality, right? Within the dual world, there's the memory of that joy, which one of the reasons we're here is to actually live out that joy. Because when we live out that joy, we all remember the memory of God again, right? In my book, I say something in regards to, somebody asked, well, when did we separate from God? Like, when did that happen? When did that separation happen? And I always say, it happens right now, right? I have no idea how or when and how it happened. I have an idea from what the Course teaches, but my experience is that every single moment, Anna and everyone here, we're experiencing that separation, or we're experiencing that union given the thoughts you are thinking and believing in the moment. So in every moment, you're either remembering your father or forgetting your father. And the great news is that the Course is teaching us that you get to decide that. You get to decide that. You get to decide if you want to perceive it through happiness. You get to decide if you're going to perceive it through joy. Now, that's easier said than done. When you wake up cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, yes or no? When you wake up cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, for instance, me right now, I don't know what's happening. I don't know if it's menopause. I don't know what it is, but there's some emotional stuff that I have been feeling But the good news is that I don't feel it or judge it like I used to. What I do now is that I'm going through some emotional experiences right now of where I feel are good for me. They're part of the journey versus there's something wrong here, which is very different, right, than how we usually do. So what I'm getting at is that that's how we practice the course, by stopping the judgment on our emotions and that something's wrong. And what I'm trying to get at, actually, the point I'm trying to get at is that sometimes it's easier to practice than others. That's what I'm trying to get at. So sometimes I can perceive good. I can perceive love right away. I can perceive joy right away. It's easier for me. But what I'm trying to share with everyone is those times that you are going through an emotional state that you have no connection. How many of you sometimes feel you don't have any connection, or just, right? Yes. Thank you. Exactly. I'm not alone. Thank God. Hallelujah. Amen. We're all there. So when you are going through this emotional state that you're like, I can't even meditate, I can't channel, right? I feel like crap. That's been how I've been feeling in not my true self, but my separated self. I've been feeling this type of emotion. I'm using myself as an example. And what I've done is allow that to be what it is. I call it feel it to heal it. It's like, it's exactly perfect. There's grace there. What we do, and I've seen with my one-on-one clients, I've seen with people I've worked with, hundreds of people throughout the years, is that when they're down, when you are down, you're down on the floor, and what you do is you continue to kick yourself while you're already down. You continue to judge yourself when you're already down, instead of you're going through something and to not judge it that you're going through something, because then it's just war on yourself. So first step is, when you are not in your right mind and you're cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs and you can't study the course, is to be okay with that. Guess what? It's not time to study the course. It's not time to be kumbaya. It's time to cry. It's time to have tea. It's time to get, give yourself a foot massage. It's time to go around the lake and walk or meditate. It's time for no Course in Miracles. Maybe you have to work. It's time to work. It's time to do your best. It's time to get through the emotions. When you get through the emotions, when you accept the emotions, it's like a wave. It's like, and down, right? It's like you want to accept the emotion, because then you're going to begin to have a point of where you are going to have clear waters. You're going to feel better. But I want to start to share and everyone know that it's okay to be a hot mess, right? A hot mess means you're crazy. It's okay to be a little kooky and crazy. It's all good. That's part of the healing too. And when we come to that happiness is when we start to accept it, we come back to presence. And we also have the knowledge of, how do we not know that this isn't the best thing ever? How do we not know? And how do I know it's not the best thing ever, that I'm having some hormonal cuckoo-ness right now in my life? How do I know it's the best thing ever? Is because it's what it is. That's how I know it's the best thing ever, is because it is what is happening. The more that I don't want it to be, the more that I want it to be different, the more that I want my not that I'm depressed, but the emotions to go away, but I'm speaking in general, the more that I want to not be depressed, the more I don't want to have anxiety, the more that I don't want things to be the way they are, we lose. I lose, you lose, and guess what we're doing? We're trying to play God. We're trying to play God. We're trying to replace God, because we're saying, if this wasn't like this, I would be happy. If I didn't have this situation, I would be happy. And what we're doing is we're not trusting. There's no trust there. And we're not allowing God to be God. We're more righteous than that. So we need to begin to trust. We need to begin to understand that there's a reason for everything, even though it's super uncomfortable. It's part of the journey. It's part of the ride. It's welcome to the world of cuckoo. This is the illusion. That's energetically, as souls, we've chosen to be in form. So now that you've chosen that, I invite you to begin to take responsibility for that choice and begin to do the work. What does the work look like? If I want to just wrap it up here, what does it look like? Stop the victimization. The problem is not outside of you. Never has and never will be. The problem is always in your thinking and believing, which is why the workbook lessons are so powerful. What you're thinking and believing about any given situation is giving you your experience, not the person, not the place, not the thing. Second, you begin to practice non-judgment. Non-judgment to the max. Guess what is non-judgment? Non-judgment is forgiveness. It took me like 20 years to understand that. Forgiveness based on the course. If there's anything you could take away today, don't make it complicated. It's non-judgment. It's neutralizing things. It's coming back to the mind of God, seeing things neutral. That is what forgiveness is. In a nutshell, I wish somebody would have told me this a long, long time ago, but I wasn't ready for that. I wasn't ready to understand that. And the third thing is that knowing that the problem is not outside of you. Second thing, the letting go of the victimization, the non-judgment. And then lastly is to begin to integrate that, knowing that now, the best you can in your life. The best you can in your life, integrating that. So I'm going to allow now, because I've said a lot of things, I'm going to allow Anna to sit a little bit, and then maybe anything that's coming up or anything you want to share in regards to what I said. I think that would be a good time to pause now. So I could drink some water.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So I definitely hear the practical application of the course in your teachings. And I'm curious, do you still study the course? Do you still do the lessons? What does a usual day for you look like with the course?
I have to be quite honest. I don't pick up the course as much as I used to. I feel like the first 10 years of my life, I was in the book. I also went to ministerial school based on the Course in Miracles. It's called Pathways of Light. That's how I became a minister. And through those teachings for 3 years, I had to really study the course and meditate for 3 years. After I became a minister, and then I began to teach it. I do read from the course for teaching purposes, but you wouldn't find me right now going over the workbook lessons, at least not this year. I do refer to the workbook sometimes, but I'm not avidly reading it anymore. I've done it for so long. Now it's game time in the sense of applying it. It's so good to have it on hand for reminders and everything for me. I do tend to now listen to other things that support my Course in Miracles journey. One of them is The Way of Mastery. I like reading that in the morning, channeled by JM. It has a lot of course principles in there. I also really admire Byron Katie, the teacher. I feel for me as a course teacher, as a course student, I have found her work to be very profound and helpful for the understanding of forgiveness. What that means is that her 4 questions, when you ask these questions, that is her teaching, I feel that you're able to have the experience of forgiveness based on the course. I feel that it brings you there. So I'm always one to see modalities that work. Not necessarily is Byron Katie a course teacher. It doesn't matter. There's no judgment there, because we're all in this together. At the end of the day, we all just want love. We all just want to come back to the mind of God. So I always share with my community work from her, because I feel that it helps the course student understand forgiveness in a way that it's not easy to understand just studying the book. It gives you an experience of it. So the first question is it true? The second question is it really true? Asking about your thoughts. The third question is, how am I with the thought? And when you go to how am I without the thought, there you're back in the mind of God. Right there, you're back in the mind of God. Right there, you're in the non-judgment. Right there, you're in the forgiveness. This is why I love her work. So that's what I'm doing nowadays, Anna. What I do is I don't have something. I go through seasons. Sometimes during the year, I wake up early. I wake up at 5. I work out. I'm very focused. And then there's sometimes during the year that I'm more introspective, that I don't work out so much in the morning. So it just really depends on the guidance and what I'm feeling. I do really suggest to everyone that it's important, if anything you're going to do that's going to be the best spiritual practice you can do, is to every day try to be more present, try to be more aware of your surroundings, and also practice non-judgment. That's the best spiritual practice you can have. You can skip the morning, the evening routine. As if you practice non-judgment, that's everything.
Wonderful. It's so funny you are mentioning the work. I'm teaching the work this weekend. Yeah, together
Right?
with the Course Americas. Yeah, I'm a long
Amazing.
student of Katie. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Anna, are you a
No,
facilitator?
I used to be. Now I'm just teaching it in the context of A Course in Miracles
Got
because of the
it.
reason you just said. Yeah.
Amazing. So you know what I mean.
I do, definitely. And that was one of my questions because when you talk about fear and how we accept fear as something natural, I can feel how afraid I am. I don't know who I am without fear. The fourth question, who am I without being fearful? Could you speak a little bit to that? To just let go of the self-concept of being afraid and a victim and a world that could, hurt me?
Beautiful.
Am I
Yes.
without that?
That's such a great question. And maybe this will answer it and we can go over it a little bit more. But what's coming for me is, yes, it's not to be happy with the fear. The thing is to be accepting of it.
Yeah.
Right? So, and that's the hard part. It's the non-judgment of the fear, right? So it looks like this. I don't know, for me, it's funny because let's say it happened to me a few months ago and I saw it in action. I was sitting on the kitchen. My husband was there. He said something. I can't remember what it was, but it kind of brought up emotion in me. I felt abandoned. I felt sad after he acts like that, right? So I felt it. I was sitting there. I can feel it, but it's different because I don't judge it. It's interesting. I believe he's my problem. This is very interesting. And it starts to go away because I see it. It can't stay there for long, right? So it's like it starts to dissipate, but that part of being objective about it it's hard, but it starts to become easier, right? So the fear's there. Oh my God, he just said that. How could he say that? And then I start, but then I have like, because of so much non-judgment and forgiveness that I practice, becomes easier. That's why I always say the practice is important. What comes up, Anna, is right there. I see the situation and I see, okay, I'm feeling abandoned. I'm feeling rejected right now. And it doesn't feel good. And look at that. This is interesting. I believe he's my problem. What happens is that I start waking up to God. I start to realize that he is not my problem. My problem is what I made it mean, right? So what happens is that he leaves. I laugh because I realize, oh my gosh, I totally had a miracle happen because remotely this moment I just woke up to what's true. So he comes back and I said, oh my God, Christian, I have to tell you something that just happened. Right now, you just lashed out. I believed you were my problem. And then I realized that you weren't. And it's hilarious. And he's like, that's amazing. So it doesn't mean that you accept negative behavior from someone. That doesn't mean that you don't talk about it. But it does mean is that start to see the way that your emotions come up and try to witness them instead of be them, if that makes sense. It's easier said than done, Anna, but maybe that helped, that story.
Absolutely. And that is who I am without the fear. I start to laugh at the craziness.
Yes.
Yes.
It's like it's those beginning lessons of, I don't know what anything means. It's, I gave the meaning I give it. It's trying to come back to that you don't know mind. It's sort of like, oh my God, like why am I feeling this way? Like I'm feeling abandoned right now, and questioning it in the moment instead of it starting to have momentum and you believe, and then you are that fear.
Yeah. It's the questioning in the moment.
Yes.
Yes.
Observing, questioning, presence. It's like you're here and you can observe this.
Yeah.
Instead of it's here. That means that the fear is with you. It's more of you, and it is, and I have to say it's uncomfortable a little bit at the beginning, but then when you're able to get over the phase of not judge it and kind of laugh at it, or be more filled with wonder, like what is this emotion versus it's wrong, that kind of snaps you out of it more too, and makes you come back to sanity.
Yeah, and get to know oneself in that identity, the one who actually observes it and are willing to see it in a different way and laugh at it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Does your husband also study the course?
I actually met him at a Course in Miracles retreat. I met him at a Course in Miracles retreat. I met him in 2017 in Los Angeles. He was a volunteer at a retreat. It was, ironically enough, Anna, called the Happy Dream Retreat.
Yeah.
And I was one of the speakers along with other teachers. It was like 5 of us facilitating, and he was a volunteer there. And we had a connection at the retreat, a more friendship connection. My book, Live Your Happy, was coming out. This was February of 2017, and my book was coming out in March. And he's very computer savvy and very good with marketing and everything. And I feel Spirit brought him because Live Your Happy was coming, and I didn't know how to promote it. And he was the one that helped me to promote it. He ended up saying, why don't we go on a book tour with your book, which I thought was insane. You know how expensive that is. He's like, let's go on a book tour. Let's go around the world with the book. And funny enough, and I met my husband February 2017. He ended up, he's German, so he lived in Germany at the time. And we ended up feeling very guided by God to be together, even though it was going very quickly, because in April, so we met February, in April, he asked me for marriage. And then in a week later, May 6th, we got married. And then in July, we got pregnant. So it was a very fast coming together. And I still look at it, when I look at it now, it was so guided by God. This is supposed to be, there was no yes or no. It was just, this is going to be our journey together. And him coming into my life was interesting because my book, Live Your Happy, was born. And he was an integral part on getting it out there. He's also a very integral part in me being a teacher, because he's constantly helping me to do things, to do classes. He's constantly helping me with the technology. He has his own business as well, but he's not afraid of my light, which is amazing. He's not afraid of my confidence. He wants me to be more there. He's like, please, let everybody shine your light, do it. And I also always wanted to be a mother, Anna. I was 40 when I got pregnant with Ari, and I actually gave birth to him when I was 41, which is in form level older, and there was no complications. I actually only had one fallopian tube, and it was still very easy for me to get pregnant. I always wanted to be a mother. Actually, a year before I met Christian, I was looking to get a sperm donor, of which I ended up not doing because it was also guided by Spirit to wait 1 year and see if I met someone. And I ended up meeting Christian that year. I called it my flirty 40s. So I was turning 40. I call it my flirty 40s. And it's been incredible. I feel that Christian is a symbol in my mind of healing a lot of past relationship issues that I had. I was a very codependent person. I looked for love outside of myself. For those that have read Live Your Happy, you'll see that journey. I think it's time for me to write my second book after, because Live Your Happy is all before Christian, all my teachings, and there's been so much after my relationship with him and being a mother. So I definitely need to do Live Your Happy 2 or something at some point. But for me, it's been so beautiful to witness my growth in relationships and that codependency healing and continue to heal. And the love I share with him, and also the allowing ourselves to just be, you know, and not making it matter. If he watches a show over there, I watch a show over here. If he doesn't give me flowers, or if I don't, it's like there's very little stigmas in our relationship, which is nice. And also I feel really good within myself after so many years of work of feeling comfortable and worthy of love, of worthy of being in a loving relationship. So, yep, the Course in Miracles actually brought us together. And my book, Live Your Happy, also was a big catalyst for us being together too.
I'm looking forward to the next book.
Thank you, Anna. Yes.
Yeah, let's
Yes.
open up for more questions. So raise your digital hand or wave with your hand if you have a question. And if you want me to translate from Swedish, I'm happy to translate to ask questions. Do we have any questions? Lena, I will put you in spotlight. There you go.
Hey, Maria.
Hi.
Yeah, I'm a bit curious about whether you, every step of your day, if you sit and pray before you actually do anything.
I question my thoughts a lot. I question my thoughts a lot. I could say it is a form of prayer. Anytime that I feel any unease or I'm starting to believe the world is very real, I stop myself and I question it with spirit. I become very introspective throughout the day. I do meditation. I try to do meditation every day, especially in the evening to wind down. I try to go to nature a lot and do a lot of walks in nature. But I try to practice a lot of presence. Being my day is like a meditation, because I try to wash my dishes and really be with my dishes, or I open the refrigerator and I try to really see myself opening up my refrigerator, like, oh, look at my hand. Wow, it's such a powerful hand. So I'm trying to be very present in my daily life, but I wouldn't say I pray every single moment. But I would say I question my thoughts often.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Lena. Anyone else? More questions?
Another thing I try to do, Anna, and to her question, is I try to exactly practice every day. You know, when I see anything come up with my son, or it could be my husband, it could be my team that I work with in my business. It's constantly being observing, constantly releasing judgment, constantly forgiving, constantly, if it needs to. Sometimes it doesn't need to happen, but I try to really be very present and non-judgmental in my life. That's my spiritual practice. Easier said than done some days.
Definitely. But gives more joy and happiness for sure. Anyone else having a question? Johanna, I was waiting for that one. So,
were you?
I was.
Hi.
No, sorry, I put you. So I will.
Hi,
Yes.
Johanna.
Hi, Maria.
Hi,
Great to
nice
be
to
here.
nice to meet you.
And great to be here and talk to you. I just want to share a reflection. I yesterday and today I've been cleaning out boxes that have been around for 30 years, and I spent a couple of years in the US in the end of the 80s. And I came across, I spent a year in high school in Northern Illinois, and I came across a diploma that I got in French. I was a very good French student coming from Sweden to the US, and they were amazed by my French, etc. And at the same time, Madame Bolger she's my friend on Facebook, my old teacher. She posted something on Facebook, and when she does that, it's always something very thrilling and creative, etc. And there was this diploma that I got from her from a concours, from a competition in French, and from Madame Bolger, and she was there, and I just felt such a connection with her, because when I was in the US, I was extremely afraid of getting contact with people. I was so afraid and terrified of everything, but she was there. She was truly my haven and heaven at school. And so I wrote to her, and I connected with her and stating that, hey, look at that, this is, and I could tell her how important that she was to me 36 years later.
Wow.
And I feel the same thing here with you in the US, and with this whole A Course in Miracle group in Sweden. And I just feel such a unity and oneness. And I was wondering, you're probably a few years younger than me, and I can conclude that you are probably the same age as my sister, but I share a similar story than you. I was almost 42 when our daughter was born, and I met my husband late, etc. And we've had our struggles, but I just want to say thank you for explaining some of the stuff that I feel in my marriage, that, hey, he can jump off and be such a weirdo that he is, and that's okay. Because when he's a weirdo, it's just me labeling him with the ego. Hey, go off. I still love you. And it's thank you for sharing so much that I've also felt in my coming of age and menopause. I hate it and I love it. So thank you. I just want to say thank you for sharing. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Johanna. Thank you for your words. And again, every time I have this thing that happens, that every time, and I'm sure it happens to some of you, I get so much goosebumps when, I guess it's the only way I can feel because we're not in person. So there's like these goosebumps that come through, or emotion, when you started sharing in regards to how you feel and my story and how you can relate to it. And what touched me so profoundly is that importance of, in relationship, to really have that non-judgment in space, and not make things matter so much. And it doesn't mean that we become complacent. It doesn't mean that there's not communication. What it means is you come back to that clarity in your mind first of what's really true. And then you can have a conversation, and then there could be a discussion. But this freedom to be, for instance, my husband's leaving for a month. He leaves once a year for a month. He leaves does different things once a year for a whole month. He leaves me with my son, which I'm okay with because we have his school and work and we have help. But that would terrify me years ago when I was so codependent. Is he gonna leave? Is he gonna meet somebody? So now I can hardly care. All I care is I get to put the air conditioning, the temperature I want, because he likes it a little hotter. I get to put my smelly candles that he doesn't like. I like smelly candles. I don't mind the fumes that are, not healthy. I don't care. I want my strawberry vanilla candle. He doesn't like it. So there's this humor in it, Joanna, of really allowing ourselves to be is so beautiful. And that love that you're feeling in this group and that you felt with that teacher, I'm happy you felt it here, because that is it right there. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. Right. That's it.
And thank you for sharing how you also use humor, because that is that it's not for everybody, I guess, but that humor is my way of also looking at all the things that's happening. And you also had a word for the ego, that joke.
I get the joke.
Yeah.
Like you get the joke.
Yeah. And the ego is a big joke, and let's laugh at him or her or whatever it is.
Yes. It's like, it's just incorporating more of that lightheartedness.
Yes.
You know, that lightheartedness. And you're right, it's not for everyone. And at the same time, you know, it's not being ha 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 all the time either. That's not what it is. It's more of oh, interesting. Look at that. You know?
Yeah.
How silly is that? You know, I'm falling asleep again. Oh, wow. I'm believing that this is my problem. Oh my God. Seriously, again. I have a name for when I get cuckoo. I call myself Maria la Loca, which is Maria the crazy one, like a soap opera star. Maria has lost her mind, loca.
La loca.
And I play with it instead of making myself wrong, because that's what we do. We again, we're on the floor and we kick ourselves again by judging our cuckoo-ness, by judging that we forget who we are. So beautiful sharing there, Joanna. Thank you for that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Johanna. We have time for more questions. Anyone that has a burning question?
Also, this is nice when people watch it later. These questions help others also that are not here live. So yeah, your questions, Anna, or anybody's questions. So
yeah, I'm thinking about a question or a clarifying around confusion. It's very easy to be confused when we start to practice to not judge. Confused in like we had on one of the meetings this morning. We want to make the world a better place, and the course says there is no world, and I am confused in the two different kinds of thought system, the egos and the spirits, and I just get confused. You could speak about the confusion.
Yeah, there's the intellectual part, right? The intellectual part of the world of dual. We know that there's a dual world. There appears to be a world. And then the course is saying there's no world. But it appears very real, right? It's like, do you see me? Okay, and I see you. So something is definitely going on here, right? So I think it's very, very, very important to do what I just did, which is acknowledge that there is a world, because if it seems to appear that there is a world. Why? Because if we just say this world is not real, I feel it's actually very hurtful and disrespectful, because it does appear that it is real. So when you say, oh, this world is not real, yes, it's true. It is very, very true. But if we're in a dual world and I still experience myself as a body, when I say this world is not real, it's like I'm denying the reality of what I'm experiencing, and that hurts me, right? So you want to begin to be more of, you know, that saying, Anna, that they say you're in the world, but you're not of it. You want to begin to understand, okay, I appear to be in a world. I know what is the truth. I know that this is an illusion. I know that I am dreaming. But at the same time, within the dream, by me not judging this and having acceptance more, I'm able to be within the dream in a way that's not so hostile. Okay? I feel that sometimes we make the course very analytical, very intellectual. The world is not real. This is an illusion. When we go too much into that, we lose sight of reality of that love, because love is not denying the world. How could you deny the world when you wake up every morning and you brush your teeth or you go to the bathroom? I mean, it's just we experience ourselves as bodies, so let's work there versus trying to deny it, because that hurts. So when we want to make the world a better place, when we want to help the suffering, when we make the world war real, when all that stuff, that's very worldly stuff, right? And there's nothing wrong, to your question, Anna, there's nothing wrong with wanting to help in the world. There's nothing wrong with wanting to be kind or help in any type of thing. There's nothing wrong with that. The only thing that is a hindrance would be, you want to begin to get your head straight first. Because when you're trying to fix something outside, you're making it even more real. That's where the course comes in. So it's, okay, it appears that people are suffering in the world. The problem is not outside. How can I help? Well, you can help first by getting your thoughts in check about what's happening outside. After you've gotten your thoughts aligned, then you can make a donation. You can go and walk and, walk in with your sign and, help that way, or you can travel or something that's guided. But you don't come from a space that you're saving something. You're coming from a space of, I feel very guided to support this organization. I feel guided to help this person, although I'm coming from a space of the understanding that this is not what is really real, this fear. And at the same time, you're going to, it's kind of like if you have cancer, for instance, you're going to acknowledge it. You're going to learn how to love that cancer, because if you don't, it's just going to get worse, or you're going to keep on giving more energy to that cancer. But regardless of it, if you have the cancer, Anna, love is getting the best doctor. Love is looking for the best treatment. That's what love does. It doesn't mean that we don't do something in the world. If we don't do that, that's not very loving. I mean, even the whole context of the story is not very loving. So if you follow the guidance of taking the course literal, like this world is not real, so I'm not going to look for a doctor, well, that's insanity. That's not love. That doesn't even feel loving. What feels loving is, okay, I have cancer. All right. I'm going to love it as much as I can because it's here, and I'm going to be accepting. And at the same time, there's a doing in the world, which is okay. When we get caught up in two of the extremism of Course in Miracles, which is the extremism that happens in Christianity, that the world is sinful and that you're sinful, right? That's the extremist of Christianity. There's a lot of course groups and a lot of course students that sometimes, and I've never said this before, it's the first time I say this, that there's an extremism in the Course in Miracles that hurts. And you don't want to go to that extremism, because you are appearing to be in a world, and sometimes it's very loving to do things in the world for certain things in your life. And that is what love does. And we do things in the world, but first we get our mind clear of where's the real problem. And then you want to go out in the world and you get the best doctor, you get the best thing that you need so that you can be okay. Does that make sense? That's the first thing I've said, that, Anna, the extremism in the Course in Miracles. You guys brought it out. I don't know why, but there it is.
There it was. Thank you for the answer. And it also means that kindness and loving actions and medicine and medication and everything is just fine.
Yes.
Yes.
You got it there. It's fine. It's, again, letting go of the judgment of that, it's like, and being grateful that the medicine's there, or whatever that is there, again, it's letting go of the guilt of being in this world and functioning in this world. And it's okay. It's okay to take the medicine. It's okay to, whatever it is, as long as it feels in alignment to you and your true nature. I feel that you want to do things in form, and that is very loving.
Yeah.
That is a very loving act, because God's will, again, going back to the beginning, I share God's will of happiness for me. God being love is also happiness. I seek what belongs to me in truth is God wants his children to be happy. So if his children want to do something in the world, I'm sure that a loving father is not going to be upset about that. So that's why we want to gauge what we're doing in the world and not become so extreme in extremist ACIMers. Don't become such extreme ACIMers because it's too much. It's like being extreme Christian. Anything too extreme, it's not love. You know?
Loco. It's loco.
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 Yes, Ana. Muy
Yes.
loco.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Maria.
Thank you, everyone.
Could you stay? I have another question that is just for you. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, sure.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye,
Thank you.
everyone. Have a beautiful day. And I hope that everybody found this helpful and everybody watching on Facebook and YouTube. Much love. And remember, practice the non-victimization, practice the non-judgment, and then forgive even if you don't want to. And just remember, you have everything and you lack nothing. Ultimately, you have everything and you lack nothing. So, thank you, everyone.
Beautiful.